100 years ago, catastrophe struck, and a thick fog swallowed the Earth. That guy from Interstellar could do nothing but watch. After another 100 years passed, mystical creatures began to reappear. The gods had returned to the normal world. However, on one fateful night, something changed a boy's destiny forever. Under a stormy sky, a young man with really cool Converse kicks climbs up the foreboding steps and finds himself in front of a large estate. This isn't the first time he's been here. He always ends up at this place whenever he dreams. He always feels like he is being summoned to this strange place. He bangs on the door, just like before. But as always, there is no answer. Right now, all he can do is knock, knock, knock. A loud rapping on his door wakes him up, signaling that it is time to eat. Chi gets out of bed to begin another day. A few years ago, an accident left him blind and mentally insane. To say he is completely blind is incorrect. He simply sees in another way. The red bandana is just for show, really. As he heads downstairs, his doctor is already there for a routine examination of his eyes. He takes a seat, and after the doctor adjusts his glasses, Chi is asked to recount that fateful night he lost his eyes. One night, while he was up on the roof stargazing, he saw an angel, dressed in a brilliant golden haze, up on the surface of the moon. He had 6 shining wings, and he looked more like a Yu-Gi-Oh monster than a divine being. After that day, he could no longer open his eyes. The doctor almost writes him off as a crazy person, but Chi quickly says he was just joking. What really happened is that he fell off the roof, banged his head, and damaged his nerves, thus becoming blind. Seeing nothing overtly wrong with Chi, the doctor takes his leave. Over dinner, Chi's brother expresses concern over his brother's blindness, but Chi reassures him that his vision is slowly returning. Chi's first year of high school also begins soon, and his aunt lets him know it is okay to miss the first year, but Chi insists that he must be on the same starting point as the others. He returns to his room, where it is revealed that he was lying to them. Despite his best efforts, he is still unable to open his eyes. However, he can still see normally, like Daredevil without a law degree. This strange phenomenon started 5 years ago. His vision gradually returned, and though he could only see a few centimeters ahead of him at first, it became clearer as time passed. Now he can see perfectly well in a 10-meter radius around him. To him, those 10 meters are his lifeline. He looks up towards the moon and wonders if that seraph is still looking at him. Exhausted, Chi goes back to sleep. Meanwhile, harrowing demons and devils stalk the back alleys. Several hooded individuals chase after them, and they methodically box them in. One man with a killer goatee sets up several signs and a perimeter around the area, which activates his ability, Forbidden Ruins. A bright flash of light emits from these 3 signposts, creating a barrier that the demons are unable to escape from. A woman approaches the demons, removes her hood, and tells them there is no escape. The elimination begins now. Chi begins his first day of high school, and already girls are looking his way. Unfortunately, he can't exactly look back. Using a walking stick to provide an illusion of complete blindness, he makes his way to class, fully prepared for what it means to be a disabled student in an otherwise normal school. As an exchange student with special needs, he fully braces himself to be bullied. He knows what happened in a silent voice. He knows what to expect. Surprisingly, his classmates are warm and friendly, and several even show him to his seat while helping him with his bags. They show genuine interest and compassion for him, which he clearly didn't see coming. It truly is a sight for sore eyes. When class ends, his various classmates introduce themselves. Qian, the class president, as well as Yi and Yuan. Chi is genuinely surprised that they are already so friendly to him, and Yi reveals that a few days ago, his aunt personally came by his class, distributing candy and asking them to be kind to him. Chi is hit by a firm resolve. He won't let his aunt's efforts go to waste. Chi listens in on a lecture detailing the great tragedy that struck the world. 100 years ago, there were still 200 countries, 7 continents, and 4 oceans. This all changed when an endless fog suddenly appeared over Antarctica. It began spreading poison at an alarming rate, and in a mere 24 hours, 98% of the Earth's surface was covered. The fog was impenetrable, and no instruments could ever make it past the fog to figure out if the other countries survived. Meanwhile, an elite group known as the Night Watchers, led by Han, hunts down a pack of demonic beasts. Her subordinate, Kimo, follows faithfully behind her. Their mission is to prevent the beasts from making it into the sewers, and if they do so, it'll be their victory. They charge fearlessly into them, ravaging their ranks. Kimo warns Han of a monster about to attack her from behind, but she is slow to react. Its gigantic claws dig deep into her chest, and her squad can only look on in horror as she flops to the ground. She uses the last of her strength to report to her superiors about her misjudgment, and a few moments later, her spear falls from her grip, while the people in the command center try calling out in vain. Chi walks home with his new friends, who begin talking about rumors of a serial killer prowling the streets. While passing by the sewer grating, Chi smells something foul, and not because it's a sewer, but because there's a dead body somewhere inside. He calls out to his friends and asks them if they also smell something weird, and upon taking a second whiff, they agree to investigate, which is how every horror movie starts, really. With their phone lights up, they take a few steps inside and discover a woman's corpse hanging from the gaping maw of a monster. They are temporarily crippled by fear, and upon realizing just what it is they're looking at, they make a run for it. Yi, Yuan, and Qian attempt to escape, and in the process, they bump shoulders with Qi. He regains his bearings and attempts to escape with them, but in her panicked state, Qian tosses her bag toward Qi's face, and he barely manages to duck in time. However, they are not safe for long, as another monster rushes in and chomps up Qian. Karma really hit her in no time flat. When she realizes there are now two of them, he is given little choice but to fight back. Wielding nothing but his walking cane, he desperately tries to fight back by lashing out, but in the process, his calf is injured, seriously hindering his ability to move. As he tries to sit up, he sees one of the monsters eating Qian whole. Things get even worse as a third monster appears overheard, and Qi curses his rotten luck. He spent years being blind and being seen as a psychopath, and just when he was about to have a normal life, 3 monsters eat his friends. Can't have anything in Detroit. In a righteous fury, Qi cries out, refusing to accept this fate. The Seraph of the Moon notices Qi's resolve, and for the first time, he decides to give him a helping hand. A blast of energy rains down from above, filling Qi with the power of a Super Saiyan. A few minutes earlier, outside the street perimeter, the scruffy old man arrives to find Hong gravely injured. One of the members report that they were ambushed by the King of Ghost Masks, and Hong is out of commission. I sincerely hope they have good health benefits. Upon learning that 3 ghost masks managed to escape their encirclement, he returns to round them up. Suddenly, they see a pillar of light blasting down from above, which they initially believed to be the birth of a new ruin. The force and power are staggering, and if Vegeta were here, he'd smash his scouter to pieces. How could an unimaginably powerful force exist? The Night Watch's instruments are off the charts, and it soon becomes clear that this is no ordinary force of ruin. It's a god ruin. God Code 003. The King of Angels, Michael, has taken Chi's body as an avatar for his power. Michael slowly opens and closes his hands, remarking that it has been nearly 10 years since he saw this world up close. He turns his gaze toward the ghost masks still running rampant, and he effortlessly dodges their feral attacks. Within a 20-meter radius, Michael can see and feel everything. When the larger of the monsters rears its ugly head, Michael lets loose a burst of energy and summons one of his lances, using it to pierce the ghost mask. In a single blow, the monster is felled, but something strange begins to happen. Michael grips at his chest, and he begins feeling a surge of pain pulse throughout his limbs. Slowly and surely, Michael's power leaves Chi. The ghost masks see he is momentarily distracted, and they pounce. A tongue lash nearly knocks him out for good, but suddenly, a flash of red energy hails from above and slices the tongue in two. The scruffy old man sheathes his sword after slicing the ghost masks apart. Chi is at a loss for words. He is undeniably powerful. The old man calls it in and requests cleanup on aisle 3. He asks Chi if he thinks what he did was cool, and he tells him that if he joins them, he can also be cool. Chi looks away and refuses to join. It might be cool, but being alive sounds cooler to him. The man puts his arm around his shoulder and introduces himself as Kong, and he says that he isn't a bad guy, which is exactly what bad guys say. However, Chi still wants nothing to do with him, so he picks up his bag and leaves. Aren't they supposed to wipe his memories or something? Weird. Chi arrives home and finds his brother is still up. Foregoing any sort of dinner or human interaction, Chi retires to his bed. However, his little brother notices something off about Chi. He can smell the smell of blood. Wait, his red eye mask thingy is gone. Chi flops onto bed and recounts the day's events. First, Kong is no ordinary man, and he suspects some sort of massive organization is backing him. Though he now has some sort of powers of an angel, Chi doesn't want to be a hero. He just wants to peacefully live and protect his home. That evening, he has that same dream again of knocking on the gate of a massive estate. Here we go again. However, as he places his hands on the gate, he realizes that he can finally open the doors. The large building has a harrowing title, God's Asylum. As the foreboding doors swing open, Chi cautiously makes his way inside, remarking that after 5 years, he's finally inside. While feeling his way through the corridors, Chi notices that the building is strangely similar to the asylum he once stayed in, back when people thought he was crazy. Now he's in an asylum in his dreams, so who's crazy now? However, he notices something different. A door with strange red graffiti written all over it. Now any normal person would instantly turn around and go home, but Chi is off his rocker. Chi places his hand on the handle, and a flash of purple nearly blinds him. The door slowly opens, revealing a small room with a lone woman on a messy bed. Chi notices her to be quite a tall woman, which is exactly what I'm into. Chi introduces himself, but suddenly he sees dozens of system windows. He learns that her name is Nyx, the Greek goddess of the night. After reading a copy-pasted Wikipedia article, he wonders what such a powerful goddess is doing in a mental institution. He tries calling out to her, and she suddenly starts rambling about her child in Chinese. Her eyes finally focus, and she spots Chi. In her delusion, she believes him to be her missing child. Chi initially seriously believes he is the child of Nyx, but his hopes are dashed when she runs over and hugs a vase instead. Nyx begins rambling about all her children being in the same room, and there's a lot of big names here, which saves you that trip to Wikipedia. Hypnos, Atlas, Nemesis, and other Greek words. Suddenly, Chi jolts awake, and there's one thing on his mind. How should he cure her? Kong, bothered that Chi stood him up the day before, waits outside his school. He initially thought his level was at the Klein stage, but his opinion changes once he learned he was closer to the Zhan boundary. I don't know what either of those means because the author hasn't explained it yet. However, the operation has changed. They now need to capture Chi, a known avatar of Michael, at all costs. He then notices the school guard closing the gate, and he realizes that Chi isn't even present today. Meanwhile, Chi is at a hospital, consulting with a doctor regarding several of Nyx's symptoms under the guise of her being a close friend. He refuses a physical examination, so the doctor is forced to give him some over-the-counter medication instead. However, he stresses that if his friend's condition doesn't improve, he has to bring her over. Sure, buddy, let me just drag the goddess of the night out of my dream and into the real world. On the way home, Chi encounters Kong, and he is forced to run for it. Unfortunately, he can't outrun Kong, and he is quickly captured. Chi tries to bluff his way out by threatening to scream, but Kong won't be fooled anymore, and he drags Chi away to a love hotel. Chi panics and fears for his life, pretending that he has hemorrhoids, and it won't be enjoyable for Kong in the slightest. Kong ignores his pleas and drags him inside, where the female clerk has a very fun time watching two guys rent out her largest and most intense room. Kong tosses Chi on the bed and gets down to brass tacks. Has he met Michael?